guys, so I actually am doing another Friday Reads, and hopefully this will be up before I leave for work today. I do have a kind of short period of time in which to edit and upload this video, but I will try and get it up, otherwise it'll be up this afternoon. So this past week I finished quite a few books, which is exciting. I did finish I Capture the Castle. Actually literally after I finished filming and uploading my last Friday Reads, I sat down and finished this, so that was really good. I really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend this copy. I got mine off of the Book Depository and it's just so pretty. I also finished Mary Shelley's Matilda, which I talked about last week. This was the one that I was reading while I was out and about and like at work and stuff, and I really enjoyed this. Yeah, it's really interesting, it's really gothic, it's really sad, but it's so good. I really enjoyed this. And then I also finished, which I talked about last week, How to Be a Heroine by Samantha Ellis. And I talked about some of my issues with this last week, and that kind of continued throughout the thing. I do think it is a valuable read, especially if you are unfamiliar with feminist critique. I think this is a really good introduction to feminist critique of novels, but I didn't really enjoy it, and I'm probably gonna not keep it on my bookshelf because I just didn't enjoy it. I thought, just to kind of recap what I went over last week, that it focused a little bit too much on the autobiographical aspect of the book and less on the literary criticism, which was a bit disappointing. But in contrast to that, I also read My Life in Middlemarch by Rebecca Mead. I read this, as you can tell, I really enjoyed it. You can always tell how much I enjoy a book based on the flags. This was also in the biography section, but it is much more of literary criticism and biography of George Eliot or Mary Ann Evans. I did double check, and it is Mary Ann Evans was her actual name. And it does have some autobiographical content in it, but it's so much less than in How to Be a Heroine, and it fits in with the narrative a lot better. In the beginning, Rebecca talks about how she got into reading Middlemarch and why she read Middlemarch and why it meant a lot to her. And then throughout, like, as she talks about George Eliot's life and the influences of her literature, and also like about the book, she intersects it with how it connected to her life, because she has reread Middlemarch, I think she said almost every single year of her life, and that's how I feel about Pride and Prejudice. So yeah, I enjoyed this so much more than How to Be a Heroine. If you're looking, it also examines it a bit in a feminist way, which is also really good. Yeah, this was fantastic. It's the way, I think anyways, a literary conversation should happen, in that it is slightly influenced by your own life, but it's more focused on the author and the work at hand, which I really liked. So yeah, I really recommend this. This one is definitely staying on my bookshelf. I also really like underneath, it's white, but it's got a bit of a textural aspect. I read my hardbacks without the desk jackets on, mostly because I tend to read hardbacks at home and don't take them out of my house just for weight purposes. So yeah, I do recommend that. Now, for two that I am currently in the process of reading, my one that I'm reading while I'm at work mostly is The Last Policeman by Ben Winters. This was sent to me by Quirk Books for review, but yeah, and I've had it for a while, and I've kind of been like, oh, I don't know if I'm in the mood for a pre-apocalyptic book. I think I talked about it in one of my book hauls, maybe the March one, I can't remember. But I'm about halfway through, and it is so good. Literally yesterday I was reading it on my break at work, and I came back and was like doing my job, and I'm sitting there, and because this is a pre-apocalyptic book, basically the premise of this book is that a meteor or an asteroid, I forget which one of those is gonna come and impact on Earth, and they know the date, they don't know the location, but they know basically life is basically over for humanity, and it's only a matter of months before it's over. So it deals with the implications of what happens when you know life is going to end, and it is told through the perspective of a police officer, and his name is Hank Palace, and it's really interesting. He's investigating what he thinks is a murder, but what everybody else writes off as a suicide, so it's really good. But anyway, so I was reading this on my break, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. I went back, and I started doing my job, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's really pointless. Why am I doing this? The world's gonna end. And then I was like, oh no, that's in the book. That's not actually happening. But that is how engrossing this book is that for like 10 minutes after I stopped reading, my head was still in the world. And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. A meteor's gonna hit. Why am I doing this? This is pointless. And I think that that is a really good sign of a fantastic author. So yeah, I really recommend this so far. I'll probably finish this up by next week. I'm like halfway-ish, a little less than halfway through. And continuing on with that theme, I am reading Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake. This is a dystopian, post-apocalyptic kind of novel. I'm just trying to think of, it's more post-apocalyptic, which is a really interesting contrast with Ben Winter's last piece of him, which is pre-apocalyptic, which I find people do a lot less than post-apocalyptic and dystopian. I'm reading this because, and I am really sorry if I get your name wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Becky G left a comment on my review of Margaret Atwood's A Handmaid's Tale and recommended this, so I went to the bookstore and picked it up, and I am halfway through, and I'm really enjoying this. This is my, like, bedtime read. I normally read for about 2 or 3 hours before bed, and I'm about halfway through, and I got new bookmarks, which are really cute. They're little, like, skulls. But yeah, I really like this so far. I really like Atwood's style, and I'm glad I picked this for my second Atwood book to read. So thank you, Becky, for recommending this to me. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I will probably, might finish this by the end of the weekend, depending on how much time I devote to my nighttime reading. It really depends on how quickly I get off Tumblr. So yeah, so those are the books I have read / am reading this week, and let me know in the comments what you guys are reading. Big hello to all new subscribers. There's like, all of a sudden there's like 15 more of you, which is really exciting. We're approaching 75, which is great. And I will see you guys on Monday with a new video. Happy reading!